gosh, look at the crowd.
Come this way.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Welcome to LMDtv. I'm Ashwini Vethakan. Joining us this week on Talking Business is the General Manager of Sheraton Kosgoda Beach Resort, Paul Sun. Welcome to the show, Paul. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Ashwini, for having me on this show of yours. So it's happy to be with you.
Now, Paul, how well is Sri Lanka's hospitality sector utilizing tech advancement in its quest for revenue growth?
Well, there's a lot more room for improvement in utilizing the data-driven technology to drive revenue. Most of the hotels in Sri Lanka have the opportunity to fully embrace the advances in technology that would help generate better revenue. Depending on purely on social media is not sufficient to generate the expected returns. For example, at Marriott International, we do have a Marriott Bonvoy loyalty membership program, which has over 150 plus million members and one of the largest membership base in the world. Every guest who stays at our hotel will be enrolled and entitled to earn points, receive benefits, rewards during their stay, and able to redeem for other benefits such as room nights or even to redeem points for online shopping. Through the Marriott Bonvoy, we have seen an increase in hotel revenue in Asia Pacific, 40% increase on the hotel revenue. In America, there is about 57%, and Europe, it's around 52%. This clearly shows that the data-driven lead generation is a very valuable tool to our sector.
Could you give us a brief overview of Sri Lanka's human capital shortage in the hospitality sector?
A very important point that you have raised, Ashwin. This has been a long-standing and ongoing issue that we are facing in our industry. Human capital is affected in a number of ways, especially in this pandemic period. We expect to see more talent available in the market, but that is not so. Most of the hoteliers have left the industry and seeking for more stable jobs. Even for Marriott, it's a fight for talent as it seeks to hire 10,000 staff at the hotels in USA. They're also finding it a huge challenge to fill up those numbers. Also, it's a brain drain could be cited as a major hurdle. We see our talented youth and those at mid to senior levels being attracted by good career opportunities in the Middle East, Maldives, and other South Asian countries. And attracting and hiring and retaining the best hospitality talent is more of an art, and a constant engagement is needed. In Sri Lanka, we have always had an issue with the gap between available talent and the required skills, attitude, the mindset, and the qualification for recruitment. I'm happy to state that Marriott International's Millennial Workshop is aimed at addressing this pressing need with a long-term path for our recruits. The succession plan is clear to them. It's very important with the youth nowadays that they have a clear direction as to where they are going to be in the next 2 years, 3 years. Unfortunately, this project that we started had to slow down due to the pandemic, but we had partnered with many schools, institutions, universities to develop the talent pool, and we are planning to restart this again once the pandemic dies down, and hopefully that we'll be able to bring in the required talent to our industry.
So, Paul, in your view, what are the initiatives that must come into play in order to assist the human capital shortage of this sector?
Well, in my opinion, there should not be an interim approach, but a long-term plan if we are to have a stable workforce. The main criteria is to restructure the salaries for the rank and file. Has to be looked into. Depending on service charge itself, will not help us to find the talented staff that we need. we need to also consider hiring the right leadership roles to our industry. So the leadership roles are the ones who will actually help to grow our staff from the rank and file to the next level, and also help overall the hotel performance. Building the gap between the multi-generational team like Gen X, Millennial, and Gen Z to work effectively. Now, this is something that we also need to address, and it's a huge concern that the industry needs to look at. Being in the hospitality industry, you have various different backgrounds, and that culture of having the different generations has to seamlessly work together hand in hand. So this is something that needs to be also taken into consideration. If we do not address the human capital issues, we'll have a huge challenge. International brands open up in Sri Lanka. There are so many international brands are waiting to open in the near future. So it's a responsibility as leaders to build and attract the local talent so that they can take over the leadership in the future.
What are the initiatives and policies being implemented by Sri Lanka Tourism in order to support the stakeholders of this sector at this time?
Sri Lankan Tourism has begun planning to launch destination representative companies and public relation firms to handle a planned 5-year global promotion in 16 countries, which will help boost the image of Sri Lanka and its destination. We also see that the Sri Lankan tourism is engaging with foreign tour operators, news agencies, and airlines with the view of regaining our position as a sought-after destination. We also see that the Sri Lankan Tourism Authority and with the Ministry of Tourism with the local travel agents are currently now in Russia trying to promote the destination for the coming winter season. So I think putting all of that together, the tourism authority is doing their best to ensure that to try to boost the tourism back again into Sri Lanka, and also helping the hotel sectors by discussing with moratoriums and terms of loan payment and to support industry, not only for the big hotels, but also for the small and medium enterprises.
And on that note, we'll be going in for a short break. Welcome back to the show as we continue our conversation with the General Manager of Sheraton Kosgoda Beach Resort, Paul Sun. Now, Paul, in which ways can Sri Lanka enhance its appeal as a travel destination once markets reach recovery state?
In 2019, Sri Lanka was voted the best country to visit by Lonely Planet, which boosted the image of our country. Unfortunately, we couldn't fully materialize that. But I believe that we have all what it takes to entice any travelers to visit our beautiful island with our warm hospitality, the beautiful beaches, the culture, tea plantation, the wildlife, and the waterfalls. Even the shopping in Colombo has improved. We should also look at targeting the emerging MICE business in Asia, given the easy accessibility, especially from India, Middle East, and the Far East. Also, there is a huge demand in the destination weddings, mainly from India. There's a lot of opportunity to grow from that segment. And we can easily compete with markets such as Thailand, Dubai, and Malaysia, Maldives to get a fair share of this high-yielding business. We need to strongly focus on destination management campaign and also be more proactive in terms of marketing our destination to the various emerging markets in the world.
In your perspective, what are some of the much needed changes to the composition of hotels that needs to take place in the country?
I believe that our hotels need to be refurbished and upgraded. meet the demands of our travelers, comparing with destinations such as Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and Maldives. Also, the talent development is critical. We need to develop a young generation to guide them into the correct path to be able to take over the leadership roles. Our hotels have to strongly focus on training and working alongside with the hotel schools and the universities. With the country opening up for international hotel brands, such as I mentioned before, the need for talent is critical, and I think that is where we have to kind of look at it in a way to enhance the service standards, also to develop our talent to be able to go forward in the future rather than having them leave our country, but to be able to grow them within our country also.
Our final question for this evening, Paul. How do you view the medium outlook for the hospitality sector in Sri Lanka?
Right. So in the medium term, we are looking at the coming winter season, which is starting from November going on to March 2022. We are not going to be expecting a high volume of tourists to arrive, not like the numbers in 2019, but we are looking at to get a substantial amount of tourists to come here. Based on what we see and what we hear from the tourism authority is that they're working very hard to, like I said, they're in Russia now discussing the movement from the Russian tourist sector, which is going to be one of the biggest movement for us if that materializes in the winter season. And also there are airlines which are now looking at flying into Sri Lanka directly, mainly from November onwards. We have Aeroflot, which is of course the Russian airline that is planned to fly into Sri Lanka from November, and then we have Air France, we have Edelweiss from Switzerland, and Indigo from India. So there's quite a positive approach in this medium term where we see there's a strong demand that will happen in the next couple of months.
Well, this has definitely been an interesting conversation and has shed some light on the current state of the hospitality sector in Sri Lanka. So thank you for joining us this evening, Paul.
Well, thank you, Ashwini, for having me on this call, and it's a pleasure talking with you, and thank you, LMD, as well.
Coming up, we have the latest updates from the LMD-NielsenIQ Business Confidence Index. Stay tuned.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To stay beautiful every single day. To breathe just like we do, because you are truly delicate, protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Sayalac Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Sayalac Wood Coatings from JAT.
Welcome back to the show, and here's the latest from the LMD-NielsenIQ Business Confidence Index. Despite concerns about the foreign exchange rate crisis that Sri Lanka has had to contend with and extended quarantine curfew impacting economic activities, the latest LMD-NielsenIQ Business Confidence Index or BCI survey, which was conducted in the first week of September, points to an improvement in sentiment. The BCI rose by 6 basis points from the previous month to register 104 in September, which represents a 4-month high. However, this marks a deterioration compared to where the index stood a year ago at 120 and places it 1 point below its 12-month average. According to NielsenIQ's Director of Consumer Insights, Telika Mieladenia, the business environment is persistently operating under dire conditions in terms of import restrictions, foreign exchange restrictions, the depreciation value of the rupee, travel restrictions, COVID-19 related shutdowns, and many other challenges. As the vaccination drive is gaining momentum in spite of high death and infection rates, the fear of the virus seems to be abating, she adds. Commenting on the future of the index, Nielsen states, there is a sense of hope as businesses are adapting to new norms as they forge ahead, and it is likely that the BCI will continue to improve. With economic concerns escalating and fears of shortages of items such as food and fuel, the government's strategies to tackle these issues will likely determine where the BCI heads in the near term. There's also a budget on the horizon, which is bound to have an impact on where the index heads in the short term at least. And that's all the time we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.